Good morning, everyone. What an honor to be here together. Thank you so much for being here at Temple Israel to hear this really, really powerful story. I had the opportunity to join the folks at MUS last night, and you are in for a real treat, a unique opportunity that not many, especially as time moves on since the events that Mark will be sharing with all of us occurred. It's more and more rare to be able to bear witness to a first-hand account of the events of, and Isabella said it last night, it's hard, 80 years ago, give or take. First and foremost, for those who don't know me, I'm Rabbi Ross, one of the associate rabbis here at Temple Israel. I see some familiar faces out here in our sanctuary. For those of you who are new, welcome. We're really happy to have you here at Temple Israel. We're here in our Greenstein Sanctuary. To give a little bit of history of this place and this congregation, we were founded here in Memphis in 1854 and moved out here to our East Massey location in 1976. Prior to that, we were initially downtown and then at a building that is still standing. You can actually see it at the corner of Poplar and Montgomery in what I think is referred to as either the medical district, Edge district, that area, but eventually made our way out here to this beautiful campus. You are sitting in a newly renovated and re-illuminated Greenstein Sanctuary. And before I pass it over to our speakers, I just want to make mention, you will notice the motif, the symbol of the semicircle, is one of the key symbols that we have here in the sanctuary. The semicircle on our mosaic behind me, as well as the shape of our seats. And this was a very deliberate design choice, not just for visibility and audio and all of that good stuff, but the idea is that what happens in here, in this sacred place, is just one half of the story. Here we gain the courage, the resilience to go to the second half of the circle, which is out there in the world, to take what we gain here and bring it out into our everyday lives, and to fulfill the mission of our religious tradition, to be a light unto the world. And so I sincerely hope that by hearing this story today, you will be able to take it out into the second half of the circle, share it with friends and family, and serve as beacons of light for all you come in contact with. So without further ado, it's my honor to introduce our speakers today. Just to my right, to your left, it's my honor to introduce Isabella Schoenwetter-Fisk, a woman that wears many different hats depending on the time of day. A mother of two boys, Isabella finds a balance between her family, career, and volunteer work. In 2016, Isabella started her own business, ISF Jewels. Leaving the manufacturing side of the industry, she joined the retail sector by becoming a personal jeweler and custom designing jewelry for her clients. Most recently, in August of 2019, Isabella, along with her sister Ann Arnold, started the Mark Schoenwetter Holocaust Education Foundation in honor of their father, Mark Schoenwetter. Being the daughters of a Holocaust survivor, they have made it their mission to promote awareness, kindness, and respect through Holocaust education. Since 2015, she has been traveling to schools nationwide to speak with students about her father's survival and teach them the importance of learning the lessons from the past and how it relates today. In September of 2021, Isabella was awarded with the Simon Wiesenthal Center's Heroes for Tolerance Award. Isabella is involved in her community and sits on various boards consisting of past co-chair and current member of the Holocaust Council of Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West New Jersey, as well as a board member of Women's Philanthropy of JFED GMW of New Jersey. I also want to add, you served on the board of Temple B'nai Abraham in Livingston, New Jersey, which shares a special connection with our community here in the sense that it was a congregation founded by Rabbi Joachim Prinz, perhaps best known for his speech on the National Mall prior to Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, and so we share that connection and involvement in civil rights. And Isabella's activism and voice stands strong for making a difference for a better and educated future for all. Mark Schoenwetter was a young child in Brostek. Was that close enough? Okay. Poland, when Germany invaded his country and his family was forced out of their home during World War II. After his father was taken by the Gestapo, Mark fled along with his mother and younger sister. They spent months in a nearby ghetto, and after escaping, they went into hiding in the Polish countryside where they remained for 3 years. By the end of the war, Mark was one of only a handful of surviving Jews from Brostek. Mark emigrated to Israel with his mother and sister in 1957, and then alone came to the United States in 1961, where he found work in a jewelry factory. He ultimately purchased a different jewelry company and remained in the industry until he retired in 2018. Mark has always lived by the saying, live every day with love, not hatred, and you will accomplish so much more in life. Mark's huge smile and love for life always shines through. Married to his beautiful wife, Luba, for over 60 years and having 2 daughters, Anne and Isabella, and 4 grandchildren, he can say that he has lived the American dream. Mark is very committed to Holocaust education, and along with his daughters, founded the Mark Schoenwetter Holocaust Education Foundation. This is currently 29 states mandate Holocaust education in classrooms, but there is no budget to support these mandates. And so the foundation raises money to fill that crucial gap by funding Holocaust education grants for teachers nationwide. As Mark continues to speak and inspire people all over the country, his resilience and love of life is indeed a beacon of hope. And many thanks to the Jewish Federation of Memphis and the Tennessee Holocaust Commission for making this possible. The Tennessee Holocaust Commission shares the mission to educate Tennesseans about the history of the Holocaust, seeking to remind citizens that prejudice, hatred, and violence, as manifested in the Holocaust and other genocides, leads to the destruction of a humane society. And before passing it over to our speakers, I just want to make mention on your way out, you will see 2 flyers for an initiative that the Federation has been doing for certainly a few years. One is an essay competition and one is an art competition. It's called The Power of Memory and Art as Memory, keeping these important stories of the Holocaust alive. So if you are here and you're in 5th through 8th grade, the art competition is just for you. There are cash prizes for 1st and 2nd place, and the submissions are due on March 23rd. Those of you in high school, the essay competition is for you. Also, submissions due on March 23rd, but this will be an amazing opportunity to get inspired for your writing and your art creation, hearing this wonderful, wonderful story. And so without further ado, please welcome Isabella and Mark.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful introduction. I appreciate that. Thank you, Rabbi Ross, and thank you to the Jewish Federation of Memphis and as well as the Tennessee Holocaust Commission for hosting us and bringing us out to Memphis. We came here yesterday and we traveled all the way from New Jersey, and I can't believe that Memphis actually has snow and is cold. So I did not feel like I left New Jersey. So it's a nice welcome. So thank you for having us here. It is a true privilege. So we're here to talk about the Holocaust and to hear from a survivor. And what's really special is that it's not only an honor for us to be here, but it's really an honor for you to be here and to hear firsthand from a survivor. someone that lived through the atrocities of World War II. There were 6 million Jews that were murdered during the war, and there were 5 million others that were murdered, maybe because they were part of the LGBTQ community, or they had a disability, Roma Gypsy, a different political belief than what the Nazis believed in. Or maybe they just didn't have blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin, and of pure Aryan German blood descent. You were targeted. So keep that in mind. Over 11 million people were murdered for no reason. But there's a lot of people out there in this world today that are denying that that ever happened, and they're saying that it's not true. So what I need to ask of you today is I need you to take a moment and think about someone you're going to see later on today. Think about somebody that you can speak to, that you could talk to, that you can confide in. Maybe it's a sibling, a parent, a friend, a grandparent, aunt, uncle, cousin, anybody. Do you have that person in mind? Yeah? Okay. I need you to go home today and tell that person what you're going to hear today. I need you guys to continue to tell the story to anybody and everybody, because there's people out there, as I said, that are denying this ever happened. So when you hear something like that, oh, it's all propaganda, it's not true, it's not real, you can actually turn around and say, no, I know it is true, because I heard firsthand from somebody that lived through the atrocities, and I'm going to become their voice for when the voice of the voiceless is no longer here, because the survivors are aging out. Can you do that for me? Yeah? Okay, great. So keep that in mind. And it is my honor and my privilege to introduce my dad, Mark Schoenwetter.
Well, thank you to all of you for being here and giving me the opportunity to share with you my journey to survival during the Second World War II. Originally, I am from Poland. My parents actually lived in a small little village. My parents were farmers. Besides my father being a farmer, he used to also be the head of the Jewish community in this area. Well, when the war broke out and Germany occupied Poland in a matter of up to 3 weeks, they took over the whole thing. They went through our village, and we saw trucks full of German soldiers, tanks, even airplanes flying over. Well, me say that nobody, but nobody, imagine what are the consequences of Germany invading Poland and starting the Second War. But it didn't take too long to find out what actually they're going to do. They came to our village, they went to the police station, and they started asking how many Jews live here, what do they do, and so far. The chief of police tells the Gestapo guy, you know, you're asking me so many different questions about the Jewish population. Can I suggest that you talk to this gentleman named Schoenwetter? He's the head of the Jewish community. He may give you more information than I do. So from this moment on, they used to come to our house, talk to my father. Soon after coming, they said to him, we have to impose certain rules on the Jewish people here. What we want you to do is to make sure that every Jew is wearing a band on their arm of the Star of David. We need to distinguish Jews from the Polish people. Then they came to him and they said, well, the next step you have to do is to announce to the Jewish population that if they have children going to a public school, they have to take them out and no more allow them go to school. It was the end of the education. And then they came and they told him, well, we are taking your property, your houses, everything. Go find yourself out a room in a town somewhere and move there with your family, and you're allowed to take from here only personal belongings. My father found the room. We moved to this room. And from this moment on, anytime they needed any information about the Jewish people, they called them to the police station. They had a conversation with him, and they told him, okay, go home. One evening, when they took him during the day for the information, in the evening late, he's not back home. My mom was wondering what happened. But there's nothing she can do. She's waiting. All of a sudden, she hears somebody knocking on the door. When she opened the door, she sees the wife of the Polish chief of police, and she tells my mom, listen, I don't have much time. I don't want anybody to see me here, but I want to tell you that I happened to overhear a conversation between the Gestapo and my husband. And they told them that soon, I mean soon, they said, going to take all the Jewish people out from here. I don't know where they take them, what they're going to do with them, but I would strongly suggest take your two little kids and escape from here. And she says, I cannot stay here, I'm leaving, goodbye. My mom didn't know what to do. So she decides to take me and my younger sister, and we go back to our original house, to the Polish family which was helping my father and work on a farm. And my father gave him a room in our house for the convenience for both parties. So she goes there and she says, the name of the family was Piwat. And she says to them, you know, I overheard this conversation. I don't know where to go, where to hide, what to do. Can you give me advice? Can you help me? So he says, sure, don't worry about it. I help you. I make sure that you're safe. But it's late in the evening. Why don't you go to one of his families living right close, stay with them, and pinpointing at me, he says, and this kid, let him sleep with my kids here. Tomorrow morning, we get together and we figure out something. We figure out. Went to sleep. Next morning, very, very early in the morning, the door opens, the Gestapo, which is the German police, comes in, goes straight to his bed, and they tell him, we were told that the Schonwetters are being in your place here. Where are they? He says, there is no Schonwetters here. He says, you're lying. We have good information. They're here. You see, I have people with me. I'm going to tell them to go and search the property, and they're going to find them. And because you're not telling me the truth, I'm going to kill them and you. So where are the Schonwetters? He says, I'm telling you, they're not here. So he says, all right, go and start searching the property. They walking out, he follows them, but he stops by the door, turns around, pinpoints at one of the kids, happened to be the oldest daughter, and he says, tell me quick, how many brothers and sisters you have here? And she says, 8. So he goes, he counts the kids, it's 8 kids. So he walks out. Today I am saying that I was the luckiest kid in the world that she included me in the count of her brothers and sisters, because I wouldn't be sitting here and talking to you. But anyway, Mr. Piwatki got up, told the kids, get dressed, go outside, and then tells me, you go with my kids, but when you be outside, run behind the house and hide in the bushes there. Don't come back to the house. Just wait for me there. Remember that. I was waiting for a few hours. He came, took me, we went to my mom, and he says, well, I see it's a very serious situation here. I was thinking about the whole thing, and I think the best thing for you would be if you go to a ghetto. I know they just, not too long ago, a week, 2, opened this location, and only Jewish people, they made them to live in this area. All the Polish people, they took them away from there, only Jews. Yes, they have guards there and everything, but they will let you in. So Mom says, if you say so, I go to this ghetto. He says, yes, go there. You'll be safe there. Nobody will think hear that you went there and you live there between, Jewish people. They'll have a place and you'll be safe. So we walked from our village to this ghetto, which was in a town named Dębica. It was about 15 miles, but we walked up there. They let us in, and Mom says, okay, let's start walking and find ourselves a place to live. While we start walking the streets, we see people laying on the ground. Mom was walking to a house. Every house was packed with people. There was no room. But after a few hours walking like that, she found a little spot, just enough for 3 of us, like to sit next to each other. She says, let's stay here. We have some kind of roof over our head. Let's live here. Okay. Now we're waiting. Me and my sister, 2 little kids, we hungry. We didn't eat all day. So we start crying and say, Mommy, give us something to eat. We hungry. Give us food. But she doesn't have food to give us. No food. So she turns to a person next to her and she says, can you tell me where I can get some food for my children? The answer was, you get food when they give you food. It was the end of the conversation. So we waited for a little while longer. Finally, they announced food is being served. So we go downstairs, see a big line. We stay in the line. When we got to the table, they say, here's your soup. What was the soup? Was a cup of warm water which had some kind of color. Nothing else there, just the water. Then you made another step. They gave you a slice of a rotten piece of bread. And he says, here's your bread. Next. So we walking on. Of course, we were so hungry, we drink this little, call it soup, and the bread. And we learn that every day, twice a day, that was the food that we were getting. Of course, we were constantly hungry. But you didn't have a choice. You ate what you could, what you get. And then we were waiting and waiting every day. We were getting sick. We saw a lot of people being sick. We saw a lot of people dying in the houses, on the street. We had lice in our hair. My mom cut our hair. There was no water, so we never washed or anything. We didn't have clothes to change. Whatever we walked into this ghetto, in whatever clothes we had on top of us, we lived in that day and night. If you got sick, and a lot of people, as I mentioned, were sick we got sick. But there was no doctors, no drugstores, no medicine, nothing. Conditions were horrible. To live like this every day, hungry, cold. Never mind drinking water, because I said there was no water. We lived like that for about 3 months, give or take. Then all of a sudden, a little boy came to my mom and he says, there is a man standing on the other side of where the ghetto is, on the outside. And he's asking, do you know a Sean Wetter? Do you know a Sean Wetter? I know you, so come on, I show you where he is. He takes my mom, and mom looks, and who is there? Mr. Pewatt. And he tells to mom, listen, we don't have much time. Run, get your kids. I show you how to escape from here. Make it fast, fast. She runs, brings 2 of us. So he says, okay, look, I'm throwing a blanket over the barbed wire. I want you to pick up a child and throw him over. She looks at him and says, I cannot do it. I am weak. I don't have the strength to pick up a child and throw him so high up over the fence. No way. I don't have power. I don't have strength. He says, you do have. There is nothing here. Look at the 2 kids now, for example. They are skin and bone. They lied. They don't weigh much. You can do it. Make it fast, because the German guards are walking around here. They will see us. No good. Do it quick. And she starts, and she did it. She threw us over. Then he tells her, you climb, jump over, I catch you. And she did, and that's how we escaped from this ghetto. He tells, okay, we're going to go to a village. I talked to a farmer, and they promised me that I can bring them over and you hide them. So we walked again for a while. We got there. When we came, she says, this farmer says to mom, I see you have 2 little kids. Just me make sure that you know that I don't want to hear those kids crying, laughing, speaking. They have to be quiet day and night. I'm going to put you on the attic. You're going to live the day and night. You're not going to go down outside or any place. You just sit there and be quiet. I get you some food, and you'll be happy there. And that's what happened. We lived there. Happened to be in the fall we came there. We lived there through the winter. In the spring, she tells my mama, well, I'm not going to hold you and hide you any longer. Take your kids and go. But mom says, I don't know where to go. I don't know anybody here. Can you recommend something? Can you give me guidance? What to do, where to go? Introduce me to somebody. Forget it. I'm not going to I cannot make this. I am afraid if I tell somebody that I have you, they're going to go to the police, and then we both in trouble. Just take the kids and go. But where? I don't know. Okay, you want my opinion? You see this forest? It's a very big forest here. Walk, takes you a couple minutes and get there. find yourself a spot in the forest and live there. The summer is coming, it's warm. Nobody will think that a woman with 2 kids is living there in this forest. So you'll be safe. Go. And that's what Mom did. She took us, walked into this forest. She found a spot, and she says, okay, let's sit here. Whatever it was, we sit and we sit. Finally, she says, we need to eat. We don't have any food. But I know there are some items in the forest growing that they can be eatable. So let's go walk around and see if we can find them. We did. She found mushrooms growing, berries, and all kind of other things. That then she says, some of them we can eat, but very similar also growing in the forest, which are poison ones. So listen good what I'm going to explain to you. Pay attention how they look. So this way you're not going to make a mistake and eat the bad ones. And that's how we lived in the forest through the whole summer. Of course, there was no water in there. Of course, again, we didn't have any other clothes. We just lived in the same thing. So we never drink water, or who cares about that? Then when the winter came, it was so cold, snowing, freezing. We couldn't sit, in the forest. Mom says, no good. We have to start walking around and go to farmers. Maybe somebody will take us and give us room. But we're just going to walk during the evening hours, never during the day. I don't want them to see a woman with 2 kids. Somebody will call the police, and that's it, the end of us. So that's what we did. We walked. She walked into a farmer, and she always went by herself. She told us, you sit here and don't move from here. I know where you are. When I get out from the house, I take you. And it depends how the conversation between her and the farmer was going, was the decision. Sometimes we were lucky and they took us. Sometimes she didn't like the way they were talking or whatever, came out and says, let's go, quick, let's get out of here. Yes, we were getting lucky once in a while. People were taking us for a week, few days. Then we had to start walking around again and looking for a place. If we didn't find a spot to go, nobody took us. She took us out from this village. She looked around. She says, okay, there are bushes here. Let's sit down between those bushes, and we're going to stay here today, and tomorrow evening we walk again. So we were sleeping in snow. It was freezing. Next day, we stay there. Of course, all day we didn't have any food, so we didn't eat. Freezing, hungry, and then in the evening, again walk around. There were a couple families that used to tell us, if you don't find any spot, so you need to eat something or so. I will take you for a few days only. Remember. And then you have to leave and go and look for another place. And that's what we were doing. When this spring came, in summer next year, the following year, we went back to the forest and lived in the forest. Then in the fall, again, we start walking into villages and begging for somebody to take us. So we're walking into one of the farmers, and he says, I feel so bad for you with the 2 kids. I understand. It's not easy. It's horrible. I want to help you, but I have to make sure that if I take you, I will hide you in my place, but I have to figure out something safe to be. Nobody will imagine that you're hiding there. So come in a day or two and let me think and see what I can do. Of course, we were cool, waiting, and right away next day, we were back. He says, okay, you back? Let me show you what I think would be good for you. He takes us to a pigsty. And he says, take a look. I digged here a hole. But you can see it's very shallow. The only way you can be in this hole is to lay down. No sitting, no standing, never mind, no way. You see, you cannot. You be comfortable just day and night, lay. Mom says, yes, no problem. I will live like that. I have a roof of my head here or whatever. It will be fine, fine. Go in and lay down. So we walked in, we lay down. All of a sudden he's taking pieces of wood. He covers the top. Then he puts, we hear him, something, it was hay. He covered those pieces of wood, and then he brought the pigs being on top of us in there. It was tough to live like that. He used to give us every day some food. He made a hole on the side, so he shoved the plate with some food. The issue was one of them, but when human nature asks us to empty out our insides or do something, you couldn't get up and go out. No. So my mom says, you see a little spot here. Let's take this and use it for our purposes. Even to get to this spot, there was no way we could get up and get there. We were rolling over each other, got to the place, did our job, and then rolled back to the spot. And that's how we lived a whole winter. When the spring came, he says, go back to your forest. You have experience already in forest living. I'm not going to keep you any longer. That's what we did. We went to the forest, and in the fall of this year, which was 1944 already, all of a sudden we hear explosions, shootings, and they coming closer and closer and closer. So Mom says, I hear trucks, tanks. There are so many German soldiers here. We cannot sit in the forest anymore. They will find us, it will be very easy for them, because so many of them. Let's move it out from as far as we can from them. We started, that's what we were doing. But then we see there are a lot of Polish farmers, groups of 10, 15 or so people moving away from this area. So Mom says, why don't we follow them? And wherever they go, we go. And that's what we did. We followed them, and while doing and walking, she tells us, you're going to have new names now, remember. Your name is so-and-so, and your name is so-and-so. And remember that in case a farmer takes us and we live in their house, you have to do whatever they do. What I mean by that Polish people are Christians. So when we sit down to eat with them, they tell us to sit down and eat. You have to do what they do, which means you have to cross yourself, she shows us. You have to say a prayer, but you don't know, so listen what they say. Try to remember. And when Sunday comes, they go to church. Again, we go with them. But remember, pay attention what they do. You have to learn and follow the movements, what they do. And that's what we were doing. And we lived in the farmer's house till about February or so. And the shooting stopped. We didn't hear anything for a week or two. Quiet, nothing. All of a sudden, we see some soldiers walking. They came to the house. We couldn't recognize them. Different uniforms. They start speaking. We couldn't understand one word. One of them says, I speak Polish. Let me tell you, we are the soldiers of the Soviet Union. We liberated you. You're now free. The war for you is over. We made sure that there is no more German soldiers in the area here. So, go back to your house and you're safe. So after a few days, Mom decided to go back to our original house. When we got there, the house was damaged because the front line went through there. But she says, let's live in a basement. So we lived in a basement, week, two. She says, I was hoping that some members of the family will start coming back like we did. But nobody, and I mean nobody came. She says, I don't like it. I don't want to live here. Very inconvenient. I'm scared. Let's move to a bigger town. In a big town, it's different. Maybe even Jewish people, some of them be there. Who knows? So we moved to another town. The town was Tarnów. And we start new life after the war. Well, I gave you the highlights of our survival. You could see how much we went through during those few years. to keep ourselves to be alive. It wasn't easy. It was horrible. But we survived. So now I go and I speak to high schools, middle schools, universities, organizations, temples, or even churches, because I strongly feel that the new generation of people, like I see here, quite a few young future people here, they should know the history from this period of time. We have to remember what happened during this time. We cannot erase this from our mind. I don't tell you to sit day and night and think only about it, but you should have the knowledge, because me, as a child, went through this. I had a horrible type of life, and I was very lucky that I survived. And I survived because of my mom, of course, because she was our guidance, teaching us, always with a smile, always positive looking on life, never hitting us, never yelling at us. So thanks to her, we survive. But I don't want you, young generation, you growing up, one day you get married, you're going to have children, maybe grandchildren, great-grandchildren. But I don't want you growing up, or you kids or grandkids and so far, to come across something, the same thing what I went through. And I repeat, if we remember the history, we learn the history, we will know not to allow any fanatic to come to power and start eliminating other people because he doesn't like it. And we know today, for example, across the universe, there are countries that are eliminating oppositions, killing people. Why? Why to live under those conditions? I say, we all human beings. We're just human beings which live a short period of time on this universe. It makes no difference if they're Christians, Muslims, Jewish, Hindu, they white or they black or they any color. Makes no difference. They're human beings. So why not to live together and be happy, hopeful that we respect each other, that we love each other, that we enjoy our living, that we're not looking to be hatred one to the other, because we know that hatred is going to create only more hatreds and more hatreds, to the point that we will start killing each other. Why? Again, why not to live in peace for the whatever time we live on this universe? If it's somebody living 100 years, very unusual. But the universe is in existence thousands or millions of years. So in comparison, our life is short. So let's enjoy it with respect to each other, friendly with each other. And that's why I am going, and I devote my time now to talk to people, make them aware of it, with the hope that this will never, and I repeat, never repeat itself in the history. Thank you very much for listening, and all the best to all of you. Thank you for listening again.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Taking it all in, it's a lot. Yes. Mr. Piwat? Yep. Whatever happened to Mr. Piwat after the war? Did you ever stay in touch with him? Wait, hello? Here.
After the war, of course, my mom kept in touch with all the people who are helping us. And as far as Mr. Piwat, what she did, as I mentioned, she had, besides the house where we lived, the family owned another 2 houses, or whatever it was there. And she took one of the houses, gave to Mr. Piwat, and she said, this is for your help. Here's your new house, so you have and your kids will have. Then the other people that were helping, she was in touch with them. When the holidays came, she used to send them some things always. As a matter of fact, till today, I keep in touch with one of the grandkids of his. And we in touch, we talk, because that's what life is about. You have to realize that people like that, they did this, they took a chance with their life to help us. So if we live in a normal existence, we should be friendly and respectful to them too.
And actually, Mr. Piwat's grandson still lives in that property that we gave the house to. They've since rebuilt the house. They had to knock it down and they built a new house, but the grandson actually left a beautiful 2 walls up and made a garden out of it to make it as a memory of his grandfather and his family history. So thank you for that. Any other thoughts? Yes. Did you ever find out what happened to your father?
Yes, we did find out by coincidence. When we were hiding in the forest, the son-in-law of Mr. Piwat, once in a blue moon came, found us in the forest. They knew what forest we live, and brought us a piece of bread. It was a holiday, we had bread. One day he came, and my mom looks at him and he says, where did you get those shoes? And he didn't want to tell her, but then after conversation, whatever, he says, okay, don't make a scenery, I don't want it, but if you insist, I tell you. Soon as you escape, the Germans came with trucks and they requested Polish young men to go to work. So they, I don't know, 2 or 3 trucks of young people they took. I happened to be one of them, and they took us to a forest very close to Brzostek, the town where we lived. And they say, you see this piece of lot here, we made it a sign, what? We want you to dig a big, deep hole. We did work for a day or 2. They took us back to town. Then they came a day or 2 later, took us again to work, and we go in the same direction. When we got to the place, all of a sudden we see that the hole that we digged, it's full with dead bodies. Told us to cover everything, and they then told us, walk around, you see a lot of clothing here, pick a one item for the work that you work. I was walking around, I see shoes, and I recognize this pair of shoes because I work with your husband day and night, every day. So I took those shoes as a memory. So now you know that your husband was killed by the Nazis and is in this mass grave in this place. That's how we did find out what happened to my father.
Thank you for asking. Yes. How old were you when the war started in 1939?
Around 5, and my sister about 2.5.
Anyone else? Yes. Where is your sister today? Where does your sister live today?
Oh, my sister is still living in Israel.
Yes. Yes, I can. Anyone else? Any other thoughts? Yes. How did you come to America? What made you come to America?
Well, what happened is we lived in Poland till 57, went to school there and so far, but then the government of Israel approached Polish government if they can permit some Jewish people to go to Israel. Polish government, which was a communist government during this period of time, agreed to negotiate with Israel. And they said, we may do that finally, but we will just give you an amount of people, not everybody, only that we assume that they behave whatever and go. So everybody, not, I don't know to everybody, but whoever applied, they look over the information, and if they agreed, they permit those people to go to Israel, and we did. We left Poland, we went to Israel. Now in Israel in this time in 57 was undeveloped country, there was nothing what to do there. So when we came there, you got a job, no future, no nothing. So I asked my mom, what do you think? Maybe if I go to America. She said, America? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do in America? Well, you know where is America? I said, it's someplace there. So my mom had 3 sisters and a brother. They lived in the States. They came here in 1820, after the First War. So I said, ask one of the sisters, let them send me papers and take me there. She wrote, they agreed, and I came to United States in 61, because I felt maybe here I can work and be better than there, which was horrible. And that's it. I'm here.
Thank you. Yes. Do you remember the name you were given when you had to live under false identity as a Christian boy? Do you remember the name you were given?
Yes. I became Marian. That's a Polish name. My sister became Sofia.
No, Zosia.
Zosia in Polish. And my mom became Francesca, Polish name. That's what we lived on.
You remember the question? Go ahead. Great question. And all the houses that you were hiding in, did you ever have access to the news?
Well, no, I'll be honest. We never listened to the news because you have to kind of understand that during this period of time, in particular in villages, people didn't have radios, never mind phone, nobody know what a phone is. No radios, no newspapers, nothing. So we didn't have the slightest idea what's going on in the world. Well, we knew it's a war, things like that, but details, nothing. No news.
There was another question here. Yes. Ooh. How old was your father when the war started?
Don't laugh. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Understandable. Anyone else? Yes. Yeah. It was the same night. Yeah, it was this. So he was called to the police station often, and the night he didn't return, that was the night that the wife of the police chief came and told my grandma, he's not coming back. Wait, what? Oh. No, that didn't. So how often, like what was the time frame that your father started getting called into the police station and you had to like move out of your house and things like that? So he would constantly go to the police station and then come home. Between the start of that to like the night that he just did not return home, how long was that going on for? Was it a week, 2 weeks, a month, like the time period that he would go back and forth and then finally he just didn't return?
I would say it was probably, they used to come like once in a week, once in 2 weeks, spend a few hours, whatever it was. Then again, it depends. Like, I really don't know, honestly, how was the timing there.
You have another question? So as a child, you're seeing what's happening to you and your family. Being Jewish, you have to be displaced and you have to go places, but you're seeing that your neighbors are kind of just living normally. How did they react to seeing their Jewish neighbors being pushed away and being, deported? And how was that as a child seeing that your neighbors were not being impacted by this?
It's a tough question here, I'll be honest with you. For me to know that as a child, I saw things happening, but never analyzed the Polish people, how they reacting to it. What I remember a little bit, when the Germans came and they were starting with a request of Jewish men to work, they did. And they told them, because I remember, because they used to come, 20 or 30 Jewish men stood in line. The Gestapo was in this house. They had trucks, and they were taking those people. I remember a little bit this, because the trucks, people, and if some of the Jewish guys didn't behave right, the German police came and they started beating them up. And I couldn't understand even why they beating them up. But the Polish neighbors, they were sitting in the house. They never walked outside the house to look or to be part of it. They were afraid. Because to a degree, I think, maybe they were afraid that maybe they would come and take them after they saw that they were beating up the Jewish guy if they made the move. So, and you didn't think why Polish people are not being taken or not, because you couldn't understand this whole thing. It was too much to understand. You never saw anything like it before. So that's why everybody was, the Polish sit home, door didn't open as long as the Germans were there.
Just to piggyback on that, to your story, I do remember when we were in Poland years ago. So my father's house is located, and the farm is located on the main street going into town. So this lineup would take place often in front of his home, being that they created his home to be the headquarters because they took it over. And I remember being there, and an old person came out, because all of a sudden there's a bunch of Americans coming to this home, and this was in, we were there in 1998. So, it's like a novelty. Who are these? It's a small town. Who are these Americans coming? And then all of a sudden, an old person comes out of the house and recognized my father and says, "Oh, you were the little boy that used to live in this house." And my mom also speaks Polish, so she was translating for us. And this old Polish person who still lives in the community told us this story and said she remembers that there was somebody laying in the street, a Jewish person was beaten, and they were told by the Germans, if you touch or try to help this person, we will kill you. And she said that they had to watch for days this person basically die on the street because they were not allowed to do anything because they were scared for their own life too. So it was a war, and it was horrible. So you had people that were good and did stand up and tried to help, but then there were people that were just scared for their own lives too. So I do remember that story very well. Thank you. Last question, yes. Was there anybody that you knew that was not Jewish that turned in Jews and became a traitor?
No, I don't know. I never saw it. I don't know. No, I didn't see it.
But it did happen. It was very common. It was very common, and especially to the point of where my dad would say my grandmother would go into homes and she would ask if they would take her in. She was the most amazing woman in the world, and she just had this gut feeling for everything. And if someone was too quick to say, yes, come, I'll take you in, she would say, oh, I'll be back, and then she would never come back. If people were hesitant because they realized they don't want to take their life and everything like that, she would beg them and trust them. The reason why she didn't trust the people that were so quick to accept her was because she knew that if people turned in Jews, they would get rewarded by the Nazis. They would get a pound of sugar or a pound of flour or maybe some jam. Now remember, there's a war going on. It's hard for them to get food and rations as well. So there was a cost involved. So people did trade out people for exchanging of something like that. So it did happen, just thankfully not to him. So I just want to close it out with this. I want to say, you guys, these questions were amazing. You hear about this that happened over 80 years ago, and it's so important to hear these stories and to understand these stories. But you think about, well, this happened so long ago, why is it so important? It's so important because, unfortunately, there's still hate in this world. We see the rise of anti-Semitism. We see the rise of black hate, Asian hate, LGBTQ hate, any and all kinds of hate you could think of. There's a category, there's a hate towards it. And for what, as my dad said? So I want you to realize that there's a lot that you could do right here. You think this happened so long ago, but what can we do here today in our own homes, in our own schools, in our own backyards? I always say Mr. Piwat had a choice. He saw something wrong was happening in his own backyard, in his neighborhood, and he stood up. Everybody that helped my family stood up. I would not be sitting here today if it was not for the help of others and for the kindness of others. So, yes, he took his life at risk. I'm not saying take your life at risk. But what I am saying is, especially to the young kids out there today, you see maybe you're at the school and you're sitting at a lunch table, and maybe there's somebody sitting at the lunch table that's sitting by themselves. How would you feel if you were sitting by yourself at a lunch table? It doesn't take much to put a smile on your face and ask that person to come and join you. Put yourself in the shoes of someone else. Think about the words that you are about to use onto someone else. Would you want those words being used onto you? Words are very powerful. Think about that. If you don't think it will sound so nice if somebody said it to you, maybe you shouldn't turn around and say it to someone else. It's the little things that we do at a young age, at school, in our own backyards, the kindness that we show others, it spreads and it makes a difference. Do you have phones? Some of the kids yet? No phones yet? Okay. Well, maybe eventually you're going to have a phone. You're going to be on it. Think about the things that you're going to be doing on your phones, taking pictures, sharing those pictures. Think about maybe there was somebody not included in that picture. Or maybe if you're going to a friend's house, how would you feel if you weren't included in going to that friend's house? It's these little things, the kindness that we do, that makes a difference and spreads. Okay? So I want to end it with this. We have a choice. Choose kindness. When it rains outside, and yesterday was a rainy day and an ugly day, and today it's a beautiful day, the sun comes out, right? What also usually we see after the rain? A rainbow, yeah? And what do we think? What is the rainbow made of? Not the science version, but what do we see in a rainbow? Colors. Red, green, blue, purple, color, right? And is the rainbow beautiful? Yeah? Does it put a smile on our face? We're all starting to smile. It's a hard conversation we've had, but a rainbow already put that smile on your face. And maybe we'll go outside and we'll tell somebody, come look, the rainbow. And you'll take a picture, maybe you'll take a selfie if you do have a phone, and it makes us happy. So let me tell you something. I'm looking out in the audience right now, and I'm seeing white skin, I'm seeing black skin, brown skin. I'm seeing red hair, brown hair, blonde hair. I'm seeing different color eyes. I'm seeing color in front of me. And guess what? It's beautiful. So the same way we embrace the rainbow in the sky, remember, we are the rainbow. So embrace each other. Thank you so much. Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much to Mark and Isabella. Let's give it up for them one more time. Thank you so much, Mark, for sharing your story. I don't know if you've kept track of how many times you've done talks like this. I would imagine it might be up there towards around 1,000, and undoubtedly has made such a huge impact, carrying this memory, encouraging others to embrace the rainbow, embrace kindness, and thank you, Isabella, for all the amazing work you've done amplifying this story through the foundation and all of your many other efforts. Thank all of you for being here on this snow day, what would be a snow day for you, taking time out of your day to come hear this important story. This concludes the program, but I want to invite, before we leave, invite all of the students gathered here, if you want to make your way up to the bema so we can take a picture with Isabella and Mark so that we can preserve this memory of this day. Thank you all so much.